Hello. My name is Callista, and welcome back to Roottreemania. In the last episode, we were exploring our newly updated family tree. I feel like Guy may have left behind a lot of little root trees. I get the feeling he is going to be responsible for a lot of new members being added to the Clancy Trust. And then we have these two individuals over here. It's interesting. It's interesting. Now, we were going down the list of notable events. However, we do actually have, before I forget, we have this, indecisionitis. Indecisionitis, also let me start my timer, there we go. Indecisionitis was a disease coined by a popular sketch show as part of a fake pharmaceutical advertisement for Jit Together. While the segment isn't fully about the Roottree Candy Company, it was released in the weeks after their bizarre response to the release of 6 Pieces by Sam Madsen, and references the recent news. In the sketch, a woman ordered a number 5 at a drive-thru speaker. Then, after pulling forward, she changed her mind at the window, asking to switch it to a number 3. This caused a lengthy backup and annoyance amongst the restaurant's employees and other patrons. After she pulled away, as the employees began helping other customers, the same woman then barged into the restaurant and passed the current line, loudly complaining that she didn't receive her number 5. After this, the sketch transitioned from the restaurant scene into a pharmaceutical commercial. A doctor claimed that the woman was suffering from indecisionitis, a disease that causes extreme confusion and irritability, and has recently been found to severely hinder the leaders of large corporations, but could also spread to humans. The doctor then recommends Jit Together, a fake pharmaceutical drug. Multiple testimonials use variations of the catchphrase, "When I can't make my tough decisions, I've got to get my Jit together." The final testimonial included a bald man in silhouette with a voice changer saying, "I'm not comfortable sharing who I am, but I am comfortable saying that before I took over my family's candy company, I really should have gotten my Jit together." Okay. Yes, the Roottree Rift. Okay, very funny. The 3 press releases from the Roottree Candy Company after the release of 6 Pieces were referred to as the Roottree Rift due to the clear conflicts between them. The first was fairly standard. It stated that there was no president of the Roottree Company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and that they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims it raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottree would be taking over temporarily as an interim president. It also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified the claims within, and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated that the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day. It claimed that a draft of the announcement was made prematurely and that Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottree would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that any compensation plan would be based on a stringent verification process. I'm about to sneeze. Bless me. Okay, I want to know which one was Ron. Because one of these boys... Okay, so that's Ron. Yet you were born out of wedlock. So this Ron, why do you keep doing this? Yet Ron tried to have Rob pushed out because, oh, you screwed me over financially. Dick move on Robert's part. But Ronald has gone, you've tried to screw me over financially. You have screwed me over financially, so I'm going to ruin your fucking life by having you removed from the Clancy Trust. Which is a bit overkill. Like, just phone the police. Just report it. Report him. Like, he's stolen my money. Like, please, can you do something about it? Don't try and ruin his life. Just phone the police. Phone the police. Be normal. Okay, so Ron tried to pull a power grab. Okay. Interesting. Well, Clark is the next person, I believe. Yeah, Clark Rafferty LaRue. I don't think there's anything I want to highlight. However, is there anything new? Yeah, there is an older one. Oh! Oh shit, Gwen! I'm sorry. Okay, Ron was announced as I'm sorry, that was a bit... I'm so sorry, Gwen. Okay, moving on. That was cold. That was cold, Callista. Damn. Ron was announced as president of Roottree during the Roottree Rift, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over. A few weeks later, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. Yeah, you tried to... Ron, don't be a dickhead. Don't be a dick. He tried to pull a power grab, and then to spare him, Clark's been very gracious and said, like, no, we'll release a statement saying we're the joint presidents, and then a few weeks later, when no one's paying quite so much attention, we'll just drop that from Ron, because, yeah, you're not being in charge. You're not being in charge. You're a screenwriter or a director, whichever it is. Like, you have no business running a multi-million-dollar company. Ron, don't be a dick. Yeah, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, but most articles are retelling of basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Ron has also done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Yeah. Oh, instead he hopes to release a movie about it someday. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother Gwen died in Paris, France. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Okay, well that's nice at least, that the brothers have come together in the wake of their man's death. Yeah, it's not something you wish to discuss, because literally the family went, you dick. You're not the president. You don't get to claim to be the president. Piss off. We're having an actual vote and we're not voting for you. I bet when you do release a movie, you're probably going to paint yourself as being the tragic victim in all of this. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Business Watch. No. Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after the Roottree Rift about what really happened with Roottree. The article mentions that nobody from Roottree that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Instead, the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of six pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Roottree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, and because he was a well-known and well-respected Roottree. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the... God damn it! I love that. I love that. Yes, I'll take over so I can continue trying to screw over my little brother. Again, I'm not saying that Robbie is innocent. I should just state that clearly. I'm not saying that Robbie is innocent, but Ron should have just gone to the police like a normal person, rather than trying to go through this whole legal rigmarole of, I'm going to get you removed from the Clancy Trust. Because this isn't wanting justice. This is wanting revenge. Justice would be going to the police and getting the money back. That would be justice. Robbie spends some time in prison, and if he's already spent the money, then his wages are garnished. And you get the money back that way. That would be just. This is revenge. I'm going to have you tossed out of the Clancy Trust. I'm going to ruin your life. It's overkill. Robbie should have gone to prison and Ron should have gotten his money back. It's overkill. It's revenge. It's revenge, pure and simple. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie Roottree. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When Six Pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark, but according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clancy Trust, and they eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about but seemed like the safest choice. I wonder who this inside source is. Who do we have? It's not going to be his missus. I doubt it's his brother. His brother would probably say something like, "Oh, he was being a big bitch. He was being a big bitch." He's not just going to be like, "Oh, he was unwilling." You probably don't have much to do with this. You're a child. At least he's a youth pastor, so he's very, very young. That's the thought. Who would be involved in this? Because it seems like the further out you go, the less involved they are with the company. Ooh, do. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, is there anything on Gwyn's recent passing? Okay, so yeah, this is new. Gwen Roottree was a somewhat well-known actress who was active in the 1950s. Her biggest role was in the minor hit movie Guys Like Us. She died in Paris, France about 3 weeks ago. After leaving Hollywood, she made no effort to stay in the limelight, and most obituaries tend to focus on her largest role, Guys Like Us. Not much is known about her death, except that it was announced that she died peacefully in her sleep while being treated for a sudden severe case of pneumonia. Before that, she had apparently been in relatively good health, according to her friends and family in Paris. She was 67. Oh, that's no age. That's younger than my mum. That is no age. Flipping heck. I'm so sorry, Gwen. Also, that makes me concerned. I need to keep a close eye on my parents for signs of pneumonia. Because if it can kill a 67-year-old, I don't like that. I feel very anxious now. Okay, I'm just going to move on. I'm going to move on. Clark Rafferty LaRue. Let me go to there. So I can just do it like this. Okay. Clark Rafferty LaRue is the new president of the Roottree Corporation. This does not include Root, which appears to have its own new leadership. In early March of 1999, about 5 months ago, it was announced that both Clark Rafferty LaRue and Ron Roottree would be taking over for what was essentially described as a transitional period in the aftermath of Six Pieces. About 2 weeks later, the company released a press statement that thanked Ron for his work, but announced that Clark was the new permanent president. Most of the information about Clark you already knew. Many descriptions of him tend to focus on his advertising career and that his mother was Lauren Roottree. Few seem to touch on his complex and volatile marital history. Since taking over, Clark has tried to remain out of the spotlight, but did have one notable foray into the public eye. He gained a lot of support when his first move was a statement in favour of accepting Sam and her family into the trust. This also served as an announcement that the Clancy Trust would no longer be handled by anyone in the family since, due to their financial motivation, none of them could ever be impartial. Yeah, that was... Having all of this done on the inside, as greed can get the best of anyone. Yeah, I think it was wise having an outside source be in charge of this. Okay. I'm not seeing anything. Well, we could look up one sec. He was talking about his mother's condition, so I want to see if there's anything new here. In the wake of Six Pieces' release, Lauren Roottree, author of A Life Between Wars, was tracked down by reporters as being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. Oh. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond on the premises. Oh, fuck you. I don't do that. Don't do that. That's awful. That is abhorrent. That is absolutely disgusting. Okie doke. The Clancy Trust is the Roottree Company's unusual legal arrangement and the motivation for most of their financial decisions. As a recap, the entire family earns inheritance directly from the profits of the candy company, as well as their sister clothing company, Root, with a period. This means that nearly every Roottree can potentially have a say in the company's high-level operations. Historically, this has caused the family to be slow to approve any major expenditures that could significantly dig into the profits. After the release of Six Pieces by Sam Madsen, the Clancy Trust came under heavy scrutiny. Sam, her children, and her grandchildren should have all been covered under the trust, according to the wording revealed during an internal family conflict between Ron and Robbie Roottree. It seems that those who wrote the trust, Clancy Edward Roottree, at the direction of Elias Roottree, purposefully deceived the rest of the family about the exact details of how it worked, in an attempt to keep Sam and her father, Edward Clancy, his own twin brother, in comparative poverty. Because the rest of the family made their money hand over fist, they had very little motivation to question their understanding. Sam's book revealed this to the public, and it did not go over well. Clark Rafferty LaRue took over the company, and his most celebrated move was his first official one. He ensured Sam's family would get their share. To help facilitate this, the inheritance aspect of the trust is now under the control of a third party, Ruby Legal Enterprises. This ensures that the financial motivations of Roottree family members will not interfere with the investigations into potential new Roottrees. According to Clark's letter, however, some family members are still doing their best to slow the investigations down by refusing to answer questions. I want to see who's now in charge. Ruby Legal Enterprises is the name of the law firm that has been hired by the Roottree Candy Company. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. You can't find much about the company from before this year, though all of the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco of Six Pieces and the revelation that the Roottree's internal law group was complicit in such cover-up, they hired outside counsel. The Ruby Legal Enterprise Group now seems to have ties to multiple aspects of the Roottree Corporation, including the Candy Company and Root. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. Okay, let's... Okay, because we've got a few names here. Ruby... I'm just going to go with Ruby Legal. I'll know what I mean. We can put it down here. It's named after the head lawyer. Okay. And... there we go. I very quickly just want to check what's going on with Root. The Root website has a small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but it contains no new information. The most recent catalogue, Spring 1999, had an entirely black cover with no text on it. On its leadership page, you learn that Root is currently managed by a designer who was apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognise her name, and she seems unrelated to your search. There is also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottree Sisters Fashion Scholarship. It is awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Apparently, it also gives them an opportunity to show off their designs on professional models on a real runway. According to the site, the fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottree sisters if it was still alive. Like other aspects of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. Okay. Yeah, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. I want to focus on this first. I want to focus on the notable events, and then we can start going down rabbit holes. So next we have 5 Ps. I'm like, can I? There we go. 5 Ps, aka Felix Fellows, is a rapper who has found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost Roottree and entitled to part of their fortune. His alias, 5 Ps, is a play on 5 pieces. An article you find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music gives his most recent album, Root of All Evil, 1 star out of 7 for whatever reason, with the headline, "More poser than my action figure collection." Their review mentions his real name is David, and he used to go by Dirty Davy, and the author rues the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. Apparently only one of the songs on the album is new, and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs, and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kick-started when he appeared a few months ago on the cover of News Time holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. At first, the Roottree company denied it vehemently. Miracle Roottree even appeared on the same magazine a week later, but since then they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him to the family. Their press release at the time stated that they had new evidence that confirmed his story. Okay. So for this one, let's go 5 Ps with a Z. Okay. So, right, let's, aka Felix Fellows. Yeah, most recent album. Is his real name David or Felix Fellows? Like, what's going on? News, cover of News Time. Okay. Okay, let's... You know what, let's... Spider Search. Okay, thank you. News Time is a major news periodical that releases a new issue every week. The rapper 5 Ps famously appeared on the cover, claiming to be a Roottree. Then, 1 week later, Miracle Roottree did the same, denying that he was. Because of this high-profile back-to-back discourse right before the start of Roottreemania, they appeared to be the de facto publication to get news about the ongoing Roottree saga. They reported record subscriber numbers during this time, which lasted until the end of Roottreemania, when the world generally stopped paying much attention and they went back to reporting on more traditional news. News Time appears to be available via your periodical search. So let's go News Time. Felix Fellows, aka 5 Ps, famously appeared on the cover of News Time, kicking off Roottreemania. Then, a week later, Miracle Roottree appeared on the cover of the magazine in an article that focused heavily on 5 Ps as well. A summary of both articles, as well as a close-up of the photo 5 Ps is holding on the cover of his issue, have been added to your evidence. Does that... I'm just gonna... Better safe than sorry. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. So what is... Okay. So yeah, News Time Weekly, Felix Fellows. Could this rapper be the next Sam Madsen? 5 Ps, aka Felix Fellows, appeared on the cover of News Time holding a photo of his mother and Guy Hudson. The article concerns his insistence that his father was Guy Hudson. The story was dramatic and sensational, and initially dismissed as fake, until a DNA test proved that he was related to Guy Hudson. 5 Ps says that his mother, Joanna, was Zach Morden's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit, the first few weeks that he was president. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. The next morning they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She had stolen all of the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. As Felix went through her belongings, the only thing he had to remember her by were a hairbrush she always used, some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. But then he found it, a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away, with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of News Time. He says it was the only one where they were dressed. Ew. The only one not from the affair itself. The picture is shown in full inside the magazine and was added to your evidence. The magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. Felix Fellows was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows. Is his name Felix or David? I'm confused. It's fine. We're going to figure it out. Felix Fellows was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but has never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even by selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He has only recently started going as 5P's to harness the power of his lineage. The writer did some research into the truth of these claims and was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Roottree company as a secretary during the early to mid-70s. It also confirms that she died of a drug overdose and that Felix went into foster care soon after. They were unable to track down his father. They also reached out to the Roottree company, but at the moment the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Roottree has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual and nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity as opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff here. Yeah, so under 5P's. So this might be how we get a picture of Zach. Okay. Yeah, I'll include the divorce. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay. I think I'm good with that. Next we have, oh, hello there. Oh, I do like that they've got 5P's reflected in his glasses. Okay, one clue. Charlatans and thieves, Miracle Roottree fires back. Miracle Roottree appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5P's did. He vehemently denied that 5P's was the Roottree. This article was from before the DNA test proved it. You look really, really dumb. He's definitely not. We've got the DNA. Shit. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5P's accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes, as well as the character of those he feels are attacking his family. He starts with the 6P's content. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. He points out that Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Roottree, and that Sam did the same before. Well, yeah, because that's their job. Are you saying they should have been grateful just to work? Like, no. No, they should be grateful because we're paying them a salary. That's what having a job is. Miracle, you twat. I'm sorry. So many of these Roottrees are very, very privileged. And it annoys me. It annoys me a great deal. They should be grateful that they earn a wage. Lovely. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. That is not the slam dunk you think it is. That is not the slam dunk you think it is. Again, just because they weren't destitute, they weren't living with the same... You're a family, and you're making millions. Meanwhile, her family might be earning like a decent wage, but it is nothing compared to what they were owed. And again, the fact that Ernie Jr. chose to take on a job with no salary, that speaks to Ernie Jr.'s dedication. That speaks in favour of Ernie Jr. It is not the slam dunk you think it is, Miracle. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Again, that's not a slam dunk. Family helps family, especially if it's a family of millionaires. Potentially even billionaires. I read on a little bit in my head and I think I'm about to become even more annoyed. Okay, Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out that Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sinning or be disowned. Miracle says that it was EC's own choice and that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering that he and John continued to live together. Just stop being yourself. Stop being yourself or be disowned. Again, he can't choose not to be gay, sir. He can't choose not to be gay. If he can choose not to be gay, then you are saying that you could choose to be gay. That every day you wake up and think, do I want to suck some dick today? Nah, not today. Not today. Maybe tomorrow. If he can choose not to be gay, then you can choose to be gay. But you're not going to acknowledge that because that is a diss on you. So it's a choice for him. It's not a choice for me though. I'm fine. I'm fine. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from 6 Pieces. He recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy trust that the family have been subjected to. He doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves to arguments. They've had to hire an outside legal team to help, but so far, every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5Ps who appeared on News Time before him. He calls him a grifter and a delinquent, and says that he is using their name and products to sell filth to the masses. Of all the accusations, he says this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. Dickhead, what is... Exposes the world to hatred? What are you doing here? Sir. He cites 5P's lyrics as violent, sexist, and ungodly, and prays that the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those that wish to hear the true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. Pay me money! If you want to hear the truth, give me money! The Miracle's Roottree are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Roottree. While he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. The article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment, and has a statement from Clark Crafty LaRue through the Rootree's law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he's the oldest living Roottree. Despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him, it was unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. It's spite. This man's a bitch. This man's a hoe. I don't like him. Callista, you don't like a lot of the Roottrees. Damn straight! Most of them are assholes. Sir, you, sir, you piss me off. Okay, well, I can feel, so oh my god. Okay, Flavio, okay, what is your real name, David? Do we have rapper? We don't, so we'll put you down as a musician. Okay. Your name is either Felix or David. I'll look over that. I'm out of time for this episode. I'm out of time. In the next one, we look at the last piece of evidence, and I will probably continue to be annoyed by many of the older Rootrees. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. A special thanks to my channel members, such as SM2K, Christopher K. Davis, CGG, and Kevin Bicknell. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.